Hello there, old and new friends. It's your friendly neighborhood Sunshine Squirrel. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new to this end of YouTube, hello, welcome, glad you're here. I'm a veterinarian that loves all things animals and all things travel, and I am so excited because we are nearing the summer now. Most of you have probably already finished out your school year and you're now on summer break, and some of you out there may have already started or will be starting summer internships and externships, and I just wanted to take some time to share with you guys some life lessons and tips that I learned from my experience of going through internships and externships, what you can expect from these experiences, and what you can bring to the table as a student. All right guys, so let's dive into tip number one, and that is to be on time. Now I know that this may sound like a given and a course sort of situation, but it is true that a lot of times I have experienced and seen as I was going through externships and internships that there were individuals that would not show up on time. And when you don't show up on time, it can be interpreted as a sign of disrespect and that you're not respecting your superior, your other team. If you are in a, let's say, a hospital setting or business type setting, it kind of sets the precedent that you have other things that are more important to do than to be present. It's especially bad if you roll in late and you have like a huge coffee cup in your hand or a breakfast sandwich. It looks like, okay, well, if you took that extra time to go and do that, why couldn't you take the extra time to wake up and get here on time? I'm definitely from the generation of if you are on time, you are late. So I would recommend not even just your first day, but every day of your externship and your internship to show up about 15 minutes before you're actually supposed to clock in. This will show your supervisors, leaders, and just your fellow co-workers that you're ready to go, you're wanting to come into work, wanting to come in for this experience, and you're going to take the extra time to make sure that you're settled and ready to begin the day. All right, the next tip I'm going to recommend is that you know the goals. And what I mean by that is you should know what you should know or what are the objectives of this internship, of this externship experience. Most likely you had to apply for this position, and when you applied for it, there should have been some sort of list of, by the end of this internship experience, you should be able to do A, B, C, and D. And the reason I think that this is important to keep in mind is because this will help you to stay on track, to know, hey, am I actually doing the different things during my internship or my externship that I'm supposed to be doing? A lot of times, some schools will even offer credit. So I know when I was in veterinary school, when we would do externships, we were able to get course credit, and it was important that we accomplish certain things during those externships in order to get that credit. For those of you in college, probably you have other similar things too, where if you do this internship over the summer, you also can earn credit. For some of you out there too, I was in the same boat. An internship and an externship was actually required for my degree program. So especially if you're in that boat, guys, where you're not just doing this internship and externship because you want to learn or you just want more experience, which yes, please do that. But if you're also in that boat where you're doing this for college credit, or if you're also doing this and you're getting compensation for it, you definitely want to make sure that you're staying on track. All right, the next tip that I have for you guys is to ask and answer questions. Now, typically, you know, depending upon the format of your internship or externship, you may be quizzed. And what I mean by that is that you're not actually sitting down and taking a test or a quiz, but your leader or your supervisor may frequently ask you questions. They may have a day where they go through all these different things, and then the next time that a patient comes in, let's say, or you're presented with this scenario, they may ask, okay, well, you know, Susie Q, what would you do? And so it's important to be paying attention, be alert. If you have a supervisor that's going over different things that you should know how to do, or is going through the different objectives, make sure to ask questions if you're unsure of how to do something or what they said. Don't be afraid to speak up and say, hey, can you go over that one more time? And then when they ask you questions and they quiz you or put you on the spot, don't be afraid to speak up. Something that I did when I was in veterinary school, if I was asked a question by a professor and I wasn't sure of the answer, the typical response that I would give would be like, well, that's a great question. Can I take some time to go and read and do a little bit of research and get back to you? Most individuals will respond to that answer better than if you just say, I don't know, or I'm not sure, or ooh, I can't remember. It shows when you give that sort of answer that you are a proactive learner and that you're taking responsibility for your own learning. All right, the next tip is to be yourself. Now, once again, I know that this may sound like a given, but believe me, there's a reason why that business, that practice wanted to bring you in for that internship or externship. There's something about you that they really like and they really enjoy. And a lot of times when you're going in and meeting people and things like that, I can attest to, you're super nervous, but it's important to not let your nerves and your anxiety get in the way of just having a good time, being relatable, being a good communicator, and showing the team why you belong and why you should have that position. Next piece of advice I'm going to give you guys is to do your homework. So most externships and internships, you're not going to have the typical homework assignments or go home and write this paper, but you may have different tasks and different things that you're expected to do. Other times it may be that, let's say if you're in a clinical setting like a hospital, you may be observing a procedure the next day. I would recommend the night before you're going to be observing that procedure to do research on it. Read what that procedure entails, watch videos online like YouTube, so that maybe the next day when your instructor or your supervisor is quizzing you and asking you questions, you already know the answer. You're already familiar with what they're doing, the whole process, and they'll be impressed by the fact that you took time out of your own time, your free time, to research and read about it. Of course, if you do have a presentation or paper that you are supposed to do for your externship, internship, don't blow it off. Don't wait to the last minute. Definitely put a lot of thought and effort into it, not only for the fact that you could get graded on it, but because you want to make a good impression. Once again, it's about showing respect as well for the individual that gave you that assignment. All right, the next piece of advice I'm going to give you is to be present. And what I mean by that is, don't be like this. Don't be on your phone all day. Don't be searching the web when you're supposed to be engaged. Make sure that if the whole team of the office is over here doing something, that you're not over here in this corner doing something completely different or doing your own thing. Make sure to be present with the team. If the team all wants to go out to lunch, let's say, go to lunch with the team. Don't isolate yourself. If the team is all sitting down and discussing a case that they saw a week or two ago, engage in the discussion. And whether you actually raise your hand or whether you actually speak and add something to the conversation, just actually like leaning in and being like, and showing that you have an interest lets the team know, lets other people know that once again, you want to be a part of this team, you're here to learn, and you're here to participate. The next piece of advice that I would give is to be helpful. So depending upon if you're in an office or a hospital setting, you may see, let's say that there's a little mess or a little spill on the counter. Go ahead, grab some paper towels, grab some cleanser, and clean that up. Being the type of individual that doesn't consider themselves, I would say, to be too high or too on a different scale to be able to do different tasks is very important. And being a person that's known to be helpful, that is known to engage, that wants to help out any team member is extremely, extremely important. And something that I haven't mentioned up to this point, but is important to mention, is that for a lot of internships and externships, they can open the door and opportunity for either a job opening or position at that business or at another business. The world is a lot smaller than a lot of people think, and a lot of times if you do well on an internship, you could get offered a job once you graduate. You may even get offered a job before your internship even ends for when you graduate, or it may be the type of situation that your supervisor, your instructor for that internship writes you a recommendation for another job or for a school education program, or they may know somebody else that you do apply for a job, and if they call them up and say, well, hey, you know, how did this student do, then your instructor can say, oh, well, they were always here, they were on time, they were super helpful, they were never never off task. They were always willing to dive in and help. They're definitely a team player. They're definitely someone that you want on your team. So like I said, definitely do not take externships and internships lightly, or just kind of consider them something to kind of blow off or blow through. The last piece of advice that I'm going to give you guys is to document your experiences. And what I mean by that is this kind of goes back once again to the goals. So let's say, for example, you're going to be doing an externship at a hospital and you're going to have the opportunity to observe different procedures. I would get out a notepad and a pen or a notebook and write down all the different surgeries that you were able to observe. If you're working under a doctor or in a vet hospital, let's say, and you have the opportunity to place catheters, do blood draws, do different things like that, I would document the different things that you were able to do. Once again, this could help you in the future with applying for a job or an education program to show that, hey, I already know how to do these tasks. I did an internship and I was taught how, or I watched how to do these things. It can once again open up doors for you. If your school, like we mentioned before, does offer college credit, they may even want to see specific examples of how you earn that credit, or should you get that credit. So absolutely make sure to do that. When I first started working at a veterinary hospital when I was in college, I knew that with applying to veterinary school, I would need to have so many hours of veterinary experience, and every night I would go home, I would log how many hours I worked in a notebook, and I would also write down all of the experiences that I had that pertained to that veterinary experience. And so when it came time to fill out my application for veterinary school, I wasn't scrambling or trying to remember, okay, what did I do a year or two ago? I had it all listed out, all planned out. So make sure, guys, to take that extra step. Once again, I kind of guess it goes into like the whole doing your homework step, but take time when you get home from your internships not to just kind of, you know, throw off your shoes and just kind of kick back with an glass of iced tea. You know, take some time to do those things that will set yourself up for success. All right, guys, well, I hope that you found this advice helpful. Let me know in the comments below any advice that you would give out there for those of us who are beginning internships or externships. I would love to hear from you. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe for more. It truly does help the channel and helps to get the word out so other individuals like yourself can find this video. I'm Sunshine Squirrel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.